I want to be honest with you before we start. There isn't some ancient Japanese word that means screen time. Phones didn't exist when these cultural ideas formed, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise just to make a tidy video. But there is a real phrase, one that's used constantly in Japan, and it's actually a much more interesting way into this topic than a screen-specific word would be. It's called Sukima Jikan, and once you hear what it originally meant and what's quietly happened to it, you might start noticing something in your own day that you hadn't quite named before. Sukima Jikan means gap time, the small pockets of a day that aren't really for anything. Waiting for a train, standing in a line, the few minutes before a pot boils, the stretch after a child falls asleep but before you're ready for bed yourself. For a long time, this phrase carried a fairly neutral, sometimes even a slightly precious meaning. A little pocket of nothing, sometimes used for a quiet thought, a glance out a window, a small, unhurried moment. Not empty in a wasted way, just unclaimed. Here's the honest twist, and it's the whole reason I wanted to make this video. Ask anyone in Japan what fills Sukima Jikan today, and almost everyone will say the same thing. Phones. The exact pockets of time that used to belong to nothing in particular now belong, almost automatically, to a screen. And this isn't a uniquely Japanese problem. It's happening everywhere. But naming it, Sukima Jikan, gives us something useful, a specific target, small moments, rather than a vague enemy called screen time that's too big to actually do anything about. Here's why this matters beyond just our own habits. Children learn an enormous amount by watching what we do with our own unclaimed moments. If every gap in your day, waiting at pickup, sitting at a red light, the 5 minutes before dinner's ready, gets filled with a screen, your child absorbs a quiet lesson. Empty moments are uncomfortable, and the fix is always a device. And the flip side matters just as much. If your child sees you occasionally just look out a window or hum something, or simply exist in a gap without reaching for anything, they learn the opposite lesson. Emptiness is survivable, even a little pleasant. That's not a lecture you give them. It's just what they see you do, over and over, in the moments you don't think you're teaching anything at all. So, 3 concrete things, starting with the smallest one. Pick one specific, recurring gap in your day and reclaim it on purpose. Not cut down on screens generally, that's too vague to survive a busy week. One specific slot. Maybe it's the car ride to school. Maybe it's the 10 minutes after dinner before baths start. In that one slot, no phone, for you and for them if they're old enough to have one. Not a punishment. Just, this particular gap belongs to nothing in particular again, the way it used to. You'll likely find it feels strange for the first few days, and then it starts feeling like a small relief. Second, and this is a small, very practical one, in a lot of Japanese homes there's a genkan, an entryway just inside the front door where shoes come off before stepping further in. It's a small physical transition point between outside and inside. Borrow that idea for phones. A small basket or dish, right by the door, or in the kitchen, where phones land the moment you're home, especially during dinner and the hour after. Not locked away dramatically, just a designated home that is in your pocket. The small physical friction of walking over and picking it back up matters more than it sounds like it should. It turns just check quickly into an actual decision instead of a reflex. Third, and this is the piece people skip. Removing the phone from a gap doesn't automatically fill it with something good. It just leaves an empty space. And an empty space with nothing offered tends to feel like deprivation, not peace. So, alongside reclaiming a gap, have one small, ready thing available for that specific slot. A deck of cards by the dinner table, a window seat that's just for looking outside, a small stack of books wherever the pickup line waiting happens. You're not forcing an activity. You're just making sure the reclaimed gap isn't just empty, competing against a phone that's always ready. Boredom needs a fair chance to turn into something, and that's much easier when there's a small invitation nearby, not a demand. Now, an honest note, because I don't want to oversell this either. Phones aren't villains, and Sukima Jikan filled occasionally with a message to a friend or a photo of your kid doing something funny isn't some crisis. Connection matters too, and a phone is often how we stay connected to people we love. The point isn't zero screens and gaps ever. It's noticing that if every single gap all day, every day gets filled the same way, automatically, without a choice being made, something's quietly been lost. The small, low-stakes practice of simply being in a moment without a plan for it. That skill, oddly, might matter more for a child's long-term well-being than almost anything we deliberately teach them. So, Sukima Jikan. Not an ancient parenting secret, just an honest word for something real that's quietly changed shape in a generation. Reclaim one specific gap, give phones a physical home to land in, and make sure the reclaimed space has something small and ready waiting in it, not just an empty rule. None of this needs to happen everywhere all at once. Just pick one gap this week and see what starts to happen in it. Tell me in the comments, which gap in your day do you think has quietly become phone time without you ever deciding that on purpose? I'd love to know. This is The Quiet Garden. One honest idea every week for a calmer home. Take a breath. You're doing better than you think.